Screen share in then Adi. So again I am going to explain. So the most widely used operating system is Windows, because Windows is a graphical user interface. So anybody they can easily understand, easy to learn, easy to work. So in Windows we have two types of operating systems. One is client OS, second one is server OS. So clients means Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, these are the versions. Server versions are latest version is 2019, 16, 12, 8, 3. So what is server, what is client? So server provides resources to clients. Clients access the resources from servers. So like Windows, we have another operating system that is Linux. So Unix or Linux. So Unix, Linux, there is no difference. Linux is a flavor of Unix. So Unix flavors are Solaris, IBM AIX Unix, HP Unix, SCO Unix. But Linux is also a flavor of Unix, but Linux is a open source operating system. So open source means anybody they can download the source kernel from internet. You can add some features, you can release your own OS. Like that, the companies they introduced Red Hat Linux, CentOS, Fedora Linux, Ubuntu Linux, SUSE Linux, Debian Linux, Kali Linux. Like that, we have more than 300 flavors in Linux, but these are the familiar flavors. The most wide usually flavor is Red Hat Linux. But here, once you learn any flavor of Linux, you can easily switch into another flavor because theoretical part is same. Structure of operating system is same. Configuration files names are same. But some of the administration commands are different. It will take 2 or 3 days time to know the differences between the different flavors. But in our course, we are going to learn Red Hat Linux server administration. So when you go for a company, you can have Windows servers and you can have Linux servers. So Windows is a graphical user interface, already we discussed. But why the companies they are using Windows servers means the softwares which supports only Windows from Microsoft. For example, Microsoft Office, Microsoft SharePoint, Microsoft Azure. Like we have some products from Microsoft are there. For using those products, the companies they are going to use the Windows servers. But why the companies they are using Linux? So Linux is a more secured operating system than Windows. So for whom we are going to provide the security? So we are going to provide the security for the valuable crores of rupees databases. For example, if you take any bank, SBI, ICICI, Barclays Bank, HSBC, HDFC, so they are having crores of customers. So the information of the customers is nothing but a data. So the collection of data is nothing but a database. So the valuable databases and the valuable applications, the valuable web servers, we are going to run securely on Linux operating system. But somebody maybe they will ask the question, how do you differentiate the security between Windows and Linux? Then you can easily understand here. You can know the structure of operating system. Here, the structure of operating system, Windows operating system structure, hardware. So you bought a PC, you installed Windows kernel. Kernel is nothing but operating system. Top of that you are working. So you are a user. So coming to the Linux operating system structure, hardware, top of the hardware Linux kernel we installed. So that is nothing but a Linux OS. So top of that we have another security layer is there, that is shell. So shell will not allow you to run any unknown programs. Shell will not allow you to run any unknown commands. Unknown commands, unknown programs, it is not going to be run. But once you come into Windows, what user will tell, kernel will do. That is the reason viruses will attack on Windows operating system, because there is no architecture of a shell in Windows, there is a architecture of shell in Linux. So if you come into the Windows, in Windows, the operating system identify the files with the extension names. So .exe executable file, .dat database file, .bat batch files, .mp3 media player files, .doc Microsoft Word document. Like that, Windows operating system identify the files with the extension names. But Linux will not support the extension file names. But how the Linux operating system identify the files? So the Linux operating system identify the files with the type of file. So like this, Linux operating system identify the file with the type of file. So type of file means whether it is normal file or database file or ASCII text file or character special file, block special file, piped file, device file. Like that, it will identify the file with the type and mode of file. Mode of file means permissions. So once you start working with Linux operating system, by default permissions will apply. For example, touch is the command to create a empty file in Linux. Touch F1. So file name is F1. Once you create a file, it will apply the permissions automatically. The permissions will come like this. User is nothing but a owner. Group means users group, means owners group, and other groups. For example, you are a owner. You created one file. You are having read-write permission. You are the member of AWS group. In AWS group, we can have some other members are there. So they are having read-only permissions. Like AWS, you can have other groups like DevOps, Java group, accounts group, managers. Like this, we have different groups in companies. Those groups are come under other groups. So those are having read-only permission. So once you start working with Linux operating system, when you creating the files, when you are creating the directories, by default permissions will apply. Owner having read-write, owners group, your group members having read-only, other groups in the company, they are having the read-only. So when we are working with Linux, if you send a file to me, I am having only read permissions. But once you are working with Windows, if you send a document to me, I can have the read permission, I can have the write permission, I can have the modify permission, I can have the delete permission. There is no file level permissions in Windows. There is a file level permissions in Linux. So this much of security is there in Linux. Architecture level, we have a shell, and OS level, we have a file level permissions, and we can have some other permissions like other security levels, firewalls, SE Linux, those things also there. So that is the reason valuable crores of rupees databases and applications we are going to run securely on Linux servers. So if you go for learn, if you want to learn any courses like cloud computing, AWS or DevOps, like somebody they want to learn Oracle DBA, Big Data Hadoop. So somebody they are interested on programming side like shell scripting and Python, Perl, PHP like. So if you go for cloud side, database side, and if you want to go for the scripting side, you must have the strong knowledge on Linux server administrations. Then only you can capable to work on some other with Linux. If you want to learn some other technologies, first base we must have the strong knowledge on Linux server administration. So this is the information of Linux. Once you go for a company, you can have Windows servers, we can have the Linux servers. So Windows already we discussed it is a graphical user interface. Linux is a more secured operating system than Windows. So all the valuable databases and applications we are going to run securely on Linux OS. So here important thing is, so as a Linux administrator, you have to know the structure of file systems. For example, Windows file system layout is drive concept, C drive, D drive, E drive. So what is the operating system directory in Windows means it is a C drive. C is corrupted means our OS is corrupted. But same in Linux, what is the structure of file system? So the operating system directory in Linux is slash. Slash means root file system. So root is corrupted means OS is corrupted. C is corrupted, Windows OS is corrupted. Slash is corrupted, root file system is corrupted, Linux OS is corrupted. So under slash, you have the different types of subdirectories in Linux. This is nothing but a tree structure, Linux root file system structure, like here slash etc bin usr slash opt. We are going to discuss in our second class structure of Linux root file system. We have some other subdirectories under root. So the compulsory partition to install the Linux is slash. Remaining are optionals, like in Windows, D drive, E drive are optionals. So once you install OS in C drive, if it is corrupted, whatever the data in C drive, all the data you are going to be lost. That is the reason you created D drive, you created E drive. Whatever the important data is there, you can keep in these drives. Once C is corrupted, you can reinstall it, you can have your data. Like Linux also, you can install the Linux with slash, and you can select some D drive, like D drive, E drive. You can give some other folders like slash usr slash opt. We are going to discuss day after tomorrow class. Tomorrow I am going to discuss about the file system structures. What are the different types of file systems in servers and clients, like disk based file system, network based, memory based file systems are there. After discussion about the file systems only, we can go for the structure of Linux root file system. Then you can understand what is file system, what is the structure of file systems. So this is the file system layout. Again, we are going to discuss tomorrow's class. What is file system? What is the structure of file systems? So the Linux administration complete course is divided into two parts. One is standalone administration. Second one is network administration. Total Linux administration course divided into two parts. Standalone, single server. So 80% of the interview questions they will ask from the standalone administration. Remaining 20% questions they will ask from the network administration. So in standalone administration, we are going to discuss about the installation of Linux operating system. What are the minimum requirement to install the Linux? What is the compulsory partition to install Linux? What are the optionals? Why you are going to use optionals? For which purpose you are going to use the optionals? We are going to discuss installation of Linux operating system class. Then after installation of Linux, so we are going to discuss about the disk management. This is the very important class because the valuable databases and applications we are going to run securely on Linux. So where the database stores? The database stores on the disks. So managing the disks is very important in Linux, because in Linux each and every configuration we are going to do command line only, no graphical user interface. So once you are working with Linux operating system, you have to know the device names. You have to know the disk names. So if you know the disk name only, you can work with the disks. So these things we are going to learn in this class. So how to see the available disks in Linux, how to create new partitions in Linux, how to format those partitions, how to mount the partitions, how to make the partitions available to the database administrators, because there is a Linux Oracle DB administrator is there. So he want to install the DBA Oracle database. As a Linux administrator, you have to give the space on the disk to him, then he can install. Like D drive, E drive, you can create one partition in Linux, you can make it available to the database administrator, then he can install the Oracle database on the particular path. Next to booting process of Linux. This is the compulsory question in interview. What is the booting process in Linux? In how many phases the Linux operating system will boot? So in each phase, what will happen? Everything we have to explain here. So once you power on the system, from power on to login screen, what will happen? Background. So here we are going to discuss booting process of Linux. Next to run levels. Like in Windows, we have different modes are there. Safe mode with command prompt, safe mode with networking, last one good configuration mode, debugging mode, normal mode, like the different modes. The same concept in Linux is run levels. What is run level? What are the different run levels in Linux? How to write and run the script in particular run levels? Everything we are going to discuss in this class. Next, group management. Creating the group accounts in Linux, assigning the passwords to groups, where the group's information stores, where the group passwords information stores, how to modify the group accounts, how to delete the group accounts. So we are going to discuss in this group management class. Next to user management. So managing the users in Linux, how to create the user accounts in Linux, how to make the home directories. So all the Oracle users give the Oracle home directory. All the Hadoop users give the Hadoop home directory. Like that, depending upon the work of the users, you have to provide the home directories. Windows automatically choose home directory. Linux, we have to give the home directories. Like that, how to creating the user accounts, managing the user accounts, and password management of users, how to manage the passwords, how to change the passwords every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, how to set that password expiry dates. Everything we are going to discuss in user management class. Next, user quotas and ACL. Quotas already we know we have a Gmail account. Our quota is 15 GB. When you reach your quota, you have to delete unwanted mails. Then you can have the free space. Like in real time scenarios, when you are working with Linux servers, you have to make it the users restrict the space. Depending upon the work of a user, as a Linux administrator, you have to provide the 500 MB or 100 MB or 1 GB data you have to restrict. So how to restrict the users to use unlimited space on the disk? How to restrict the users to create unlimited files on the disk? We are going to discuss in user quotas class. Then ACL access control list. How to give the special permissions on files for particular users and particular groups. We are going to discuss in ACL class. Next, swap management. So swap is nothing but a virtual memory. In Windows, we are calling as a virtual memory. In Linux, we are calling as a swap memory. So whenever the physical memory not enough to handle current processes, the system will use some space from the disk as a memory is called swap memory. So while you are working with Linux servers, databases and applications is going on. So your swap memory is going to be decreased. Once the swap memory is decreased, your application performance will low, your database performance will low. So as a Linux administrator, always you have to check the swap memory in the server. When the swap memory is low, you can increase the swap memory. So how to increase that swap memory? In how many ways we can increase the swap memory? We are going to discuss in swap management class. Next to process management. See in Windows, you can go for task manager. Here you can see number of processes which are running on the system. It shows how much CPU utilization, how much memory utilization is going on. Everything it will show. Like in Linux, everything we are going to see in the command prompt only. How to managing the processes in Linux, how to see the active processes, how to kill the unnecessary process, and how to give the priority of the particular process. Everything we are going to discuss in process management class. Then RPM, Red Hat Package Manager. So in Windows, you can go to the control panel, you can go to the add programs, some programs we can add. So while installation, all the programs cannot be installed. Whatever the requirement programs only it will install. Like that we are calling as a packages in Linux. While install Linux, we no need to install all the packages. Just required packages only we are going to install. After installation of Linux, if you want to install any packages, how to install those packages, how to remove the unnecessary packages, how to upgrade the packages, we are going to discuss in RPM class. Next, M server. This is called online package manager. See in Windows, once you connected to internet your system, automatically you can get some updates. There is a new update, Adobe Reader version. Do you want to install or later? Like that. In Linux, we can set up auto update server that is called M server. This is also package management only. RPM is offline. You have to download, you have to install. M is online package manager. So how to set up M server in Linux, we are going to discuss here. Next, LVM, logical volume manager. How to combine the number of physical disks as a single logical device. So once you combine number of physical devices as a single logical device, then once the disk is full, you can expand the storage limit. You can add more disks. In physical environment, say in physical standard file system architecture, you cannot increase the space. But by taking the help of logical volume manager packages, we can combine the multiple disks into a single logical unit. Then once the disk is full, we can expand the storage limit. So every operating system has its own technology. Linux called LVM, Windows ODM Online Disk Manager, Solaris SVM Solaris Volume Manager, like that Linux LVM. Next, backup and restore. So what are the backup tools you are using in Linux to take the backup of the files and directories? Copying the data from one disk to another disk, and Linux entire file system backup, root file system backup, Oracle file system backup, Java file system backup, Hadoop file system backup. So we have different tools in Linux to take the backup of files and directories, to take the backup of file systems, and copying the data from one disk to another disk. We are going to discuss in this backup and restore. Next, scheduling jobs. So this is the regular work in Linux servers. You can log into many servers. You have to schedule the jobs. So automation of jobs. Every day evening 6:30 p.m. take the backup of Oracle updated files. Every Sunday morning take the full backup. So every month first date 15th date, the users who logged into the server, what they are doing, everything you can write automation of jobs. So those jobs how to configure, how to manage the scheduling jobs, we are going to discuss in this class. See, this is entire 14 chapters, standalone administration. Here there is no single network word here. Next part we are going to enter into the networking part. So in network administration, the first class we are going to discuss how to configure the Linux operating system in the network, how to give the host name to Linux, how to permanent it, how to assign the IP address to Linux operating system, how to permanent it, and how to configure the telnet server. So server is Linux, clients are Windows. I want to log in my Linux server, I want to work. So from Windows, by using telnet command, you can log into your Linux server, you can work. But the telnet server you have to configure on Linux server side. So as a Linux administrator, how to configure the telnet server we are going to discuss. But telnet is not a secured connection. That is the reason they introduced SSH, secure shell. But SSH program is shell based program. So Windows will not support SSH. That is the reason we are going to use PuTTY, third party software. See here, by using PuTTY, here you can select SSH, give the Linux server IP address. You can log into your Linux server, you can work. So real time scenarios, we are going to work like this only. By using PuTTY, we are going to log into the Linux servers. We are going to log in with SSH command. Next to FTP server, file transfer protocol, how to configure FTP server in Linux. What is the local FTP? What is the anonymous FTP? So local FTP means the user must have the account on server side. Anonymous FTP means public, anybody they can access. See, we can go for internet, we are accessing so many sites. You are downloading the songs or movies, but you cannot upload. Once you want to upload your data, you must create one account there. So that is called local FTP. Anonymous is anybody, you can log in, I can log in, I can download, you can download. That is anonymous. So what is local FTP? What is anonymous FTP? We are going to discuss in FTP class, and how to restrict the users to use FTP. Everything we are going to discuss in FTP class. This is a file server. Next to NFS, network file system. So in Windows, we have a concept is called DFS, distributed file system, sharing the files and directories across the network online. So FTP is offline. You can download, then you can modify, afterwards you can upload. But NFS is online file server. Whatever the updates you are doing on your side, automatically updates on server side. So how to configure this NFS server? How to access the NFS share from NFS client side? We are going to discuss here. Next, Samba server. So Samba is also a file server, but sharing the resources from Linux to Windows. So I have a Linux server. I have 100 Windows clients. I want to install MS Office on all 100 Windows clients within 1 hour or 2 hours. Then I can configure one Linux Samba server. I can copy the Windows related softwares in my Linux system. I can keep it in one folder. I can share across the Samba server. From Windows, you can log into your Linux Samba server. You can install your Windows related softwares. So this is also a file server. FTP is a file server. NFS is a file server. Samba is a file server. After configuration of these three servers, we are going to discuss differences between FTP and NFS, differences between FTP and Samba, difference between NFS and Samba. Like this, we have to know the differences between these three file servers. Next to DNS, domain name server, a domain name system. So it is used for name resolution purpose. For example, we are going to access so many websites, gmail.com, google.com, yahoo.com, rediff.com, but you don't know the IP addresses of those sites. Just we can remember the sites with names. We cannot remember the sites with numbers. It is very difficult. That is the reason the DNS server is going to be configured in our network environment. Automatically it resolves names to IP addresses. So how to configure this DNS server, how to manage the DNS servers, how to troubleshoot the name servers, name resolution. So once any one client complain to you as a Linux administrator, you have to resolve the problem. So I am not communicating with the DNS server. My name is not resolving. IP address is not resolving. Once they give the complaint, we have to troubleshoot it. So those things, everything we are going to discuss in DNS server. Next to Apache web server. So Apache is a web server to configure the websites in Linux. So websites we can configure, we can configure different types of websites like IP based websites, host based websites, single IP multiple websites, single IP single website, port based website. Like different types of websites we are going to configure. Whenever you are going to configure the web server, you must have the DNS server. Otherwise your websites cannot be resolved. So those things we are going to discuss in Apache web server. Next, NIS, naming information service, centralization of administration in Linux environment. In Windows, we can have a concept is called Active Directory Domain Services, centralized administration. Like the same concept in Linux is NIS. Next to DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, how to assign the IP addresses automatically to the clients. The DHCP server can assign the IP address by using which policy? So we are going to discuss in this DHCP class. Next, Linux Kickstart server. So you have a company, you are working in a company, your company bought 50 new systems. So you have to install 50 Linux operating systems at a time. It is not possible individually. You can go for one system, one system, one system. So configure one Linux Kickstart server in your network environment. Connect all the systems into the network. Then go to the BIOS, boot from network, automatically connect your Kickstart server. Automatically the installation process is going to be complete. So in Windows, the concept is called WDS, Windows Deployment Services, Linux Kickstart server, Solaris Jumpstart server. Installing the operating systems through network. Next to last one is RAID levels. This is also like LVM. RAID is a technology to combine the multiple disks into a single logical device, and we can write the data in several ways. LVM, it writes the data sequential order, first disk, second disk, third disk. But in RAID levels, you can tell how to write the data parallelly or parallelly with parity information, or mirroring same information you want to copy on multiple disks. We can tell in RAID levels. So these entire 14 chapters in standalone and 12 chapters in network administration. So the total course duration is 30 to 35 days. So first 3 to 4 classes, we are going to discuss about the basics of Linux operating system, how to install the Linux OS, what is shell, what is kernel, how to create files, how to create directories, copying, renaming, removing, moving, filter commands, file permissions, advanced filter commands, linking files. These are the basic commands are required to learn the administration course. So first we are going to discuss about basics, then the administration course will start. Total duration is 30 to 35 days. So if you have any doubts, please ask the doubts. నాగరాజ్ గారు డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా?
అది ఇప్పుడు లైనక్స్ ఇన్స్టాలేషన్ ఆఫ్ లైనక్స్ ఇన్ నెట్వర్క్ అంటే ఇది ఫ్రీ ఆఫ్ కాస్ట్ అండి, లేకుంటే మనం తీసుకోవాలి పర్మిషన్?
అంటే ఇప్పుడు మీరు కంపెనీలో పనిచేస్తున్నారు అనుకోండి, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ కంపెనీ వాళ్ళు ఆల్రెడీ లైసెన్స్డ్ వెర్షన్లు వాడుతుంటారు. ఒకవేళ లైసెన్స్డ్ వెర్షన్ ఇప్పుడు CentOS ఉంది అనుకోండి, CentOS ఫ్రీవేర్ అది.
ఓకే.
రెడ్ హ్యాట్ అనేది డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్. రెడ్ హ్యాట్ వాడేటప్పుడు మీరు లైసెన్స్ తీసుకోవాలి, కానీ చాలా కంపెనీలు CentOS వాడతాయి. ఏదైనా మీరు ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, దానికి మనకి స్పెషల్ పర్మిషన్స్ అవసరం లేదు.
ఓకే.
ఇప్పుడు మనం ఇప్పుడు చూడండి, ఇక్కడ నాది VMware వర్క్ స్టేషన్ చేశాను ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. చూడండి ఇక్కడ నాకు అన్ని నంబర్ ఆఫ్ లైనక్స్లు ఉన్నాయి. ఇక్కడ నాకు చూడండి బ్యాచ్ వైజ్ ఉంటాయి. సో 4 PM బ్యాచ్, ఇన్ని మెషిన్స్ ఉన్నాయి. నాకు ఏ బ్యాచ్ మెషిన్ అప్పుడు ఆ బ్యాచ్ ఆన్ చేసుకుని క్లాస్ చెప్పేస్తాను. సో ఇక్కడ కూడా మనం ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయొచ్చు. నెట్వర్క్ చెప్పా కదా, కిక్ స్టార్ట్ సర్వర్, మనం ఇంకో మెషిన్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకొని ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయడం చూడొచ్చు.
ఓకే.
ఓకేనా? ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఏం చేస్తున్నారు?
నేను జావా డెవలపర్ అండి.
జావా మీరు చేస్తున్నారా? వర్క్ ఫ్రమ్ హోమేనా లేకపోతే ఎట్లా? కంపెనీ ఏ కంపెనీ?
ఆప్టమ్ గ్లోబల్ సొల్యూషన్స్.
ఓకే. ఇక్కడేనా, హైదరాబాదేనా? ఓకే.
ఇప్పుడు ఈ సెషన్ నాకు ఒక్కరికేనండి, మిగతా
ఈ వాయిస్ ప్రాబ్లం వల్ల పొద్దున పూట ఒక 4-5 ఈవినింగ్ మీరు 3-4, అది దాని ఆడియో ప్రాబ్లం అంటే తెలియట్లేదు నాకు. స్కైప్ బాగుంది కానీ నాకు గోటు మీటింగ్లో నా ల్యాప్టాప్ బాగానే ఉంది, వాళ్ళు మాది బాగానే ఉందంటారు. అదేం అర్థం కావట్లేదు. సొల్యూషన్ క్లియర్ చేయాలి, లేదంటే స్కైప్లో కనెక్ట్ అవ్వాలి.
జూమ్ ఉంది కాండి, జూమ్లో చేయొచ్చు కదా.
జూమ్ వాళ్ళదంటే వాళ్ళు మనం త్రూ దుర్గా సాఫ్ట్ ద్వారా కదా, వాళ్ళు ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తే మనం చేయాలి.
ఓకే.
వాళ్ళు పంపిస్తారు మనకి లింకులు. నేను ఇంకేంటంటే నాకు అది గోటు మీటింగ్ అవ్వట్లేదండి. స్టూడెంట్స్ మళ్ళీ అంతా ఇదవుతున్నారు, ఆడియో ప్రాబ్లం. నేను స్కైప్లో చెప్తానని మధ్యాహ్నం అడిగాను. ఇదైతే కొంచెం క్లియర్గా ఉంటుంది. ఎప్పుడు ఏ రోజు రికార్డింగ్ ఆ రోజు వెళ్ళిపోద్ది మనకి.
ఇది ఈవినింగ్ సెషన్ అండి, 6 to 7 కాకుండా మార్నింగ్ ఏమైనా నాకు?
మార్నింగ్ ఉందండి, యాక్చువల్లీ 8 to 9.
ఓకే.
మార్నింగ్ రేపు 8 to 9 రండి రేపు.
ఓకే.
రేపు నేనంటే ఫస్ట్ క్లాస్ మనం ఏం చెప్తామంటే అసలు ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్ ఏంటంటే, ఫైల్ అంటే ఏంటి, ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్ అంటే ఏంటి. ఎందుకంటే మనం ఇప్పుడు మీరు ల్యాప్టాప్ యూజ్ చేస్తున్నా, నేను ల్యాప్టాప్ యూజ్ చేసినా, మనం సర్వర్ నేర్చుకున్నా, మనం వర్క్ చేసేదంతా ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్స్ బేస్ అయ్యి వర్క్ అవుతుంటుంది ఓఎస్ అనేది.
ఓకే.
సో ఫస్ట్ మనకి అది తెలియాలి. డిస్క్ బేస్డ్ ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్స్ అంటే ఏంటి, నెట్వర్క్ బేస్డ్ అంటే ఏంటి, మెమరీ బేస్డ్, ఈ మూడింటి మీదే సర్వర్ రన్ అయ్యేది. ఏదైనా ఏ సిస్టమ్ అయినా ఆ మూడింటి మీద రన్ అవుతాయి. సో ఫస్ట్ మనం ఆ డిఫరెంట్ టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్స్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తారు. ఇప్పుడు డిస్క్ బేస్డ్, నెట్వర్క్ బేస్డ్, మెమరీ బేస్డ్, వాటి ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఏంటి, తర్వాత లైనక్స్ రూట్ ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఏంటి. ఇప్పుడు విండోస్లో మనకు డ్రైవ్స్ ఉంటాయి, CDEN. బట్ లైనక్స్లో అట్లా కాదు, మెయిన్ ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్ స్లాష్ ఉంటుంది. స్లాష్ కింద సబ్ డైరెక్టరీస్ ఉంటాయి. వాటిల్లో నార్మల్ డైరెక్టరీస్ ఉంటాయి, ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్ డైరెక్టరీస్ ఉంటాయి. వాటి డిఫరెన్స్లు ఏంటి, ఇవన్నీ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఇన్స్టలేషన్కి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు మీకు ఈజీగా అర్థం అవుద్ది. ఓకే, మనం ఏం తీసుకుంటున్నాం, ఎందుకు తీసుకుంటున్నాం, ఈ పర్పస్ ఎంత అనేది క్లారిటీ ఉంటుంది. డైరెక్ట్ కొన్ని ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్స్ డైరెక్ట్గా రేపు లైనక్స్ ఇన్స్టలేషన్ చెప్పేస్తాం స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారు. వీళ్ళకి అర్థం కాదు, స్టూడెంట్కి అసలు ఎందుకు ఇస్తున్నాడు ఆయన ఏంటి అనేది అర్థం కాదు. నేను ఆ బేస్ నుంచి చెప్పుకుంటూ వస్తాను. ఓకేనండి. రేపు
నేను సమ్ టైమ్స్ ఐ హావ్ సీన్ యూనిక్స్ కూడా ఒక్కొక్కసారి మనకు సర్వర్ లో చూపిస్తారండి, చిన్న స్క్రీన్ ఉంటుంది.
అవునండి.
గ్రెప్ కమాండ్ యూస్ చేస్తారు, అవి దీంట్లోనే పార్ట్ అండి లైనక్స్
మొత్తం అన్ని వస్తాయండి.
ఓకే.
యూనిక్స్ కమాండ్స్, లైనక్స్ కమాండ్స్ రెండు వేరు కదండి, సేమ్ అన్ని
సేమ్.
యూనిక్స్ లైనక్స్ వేరు కాదు. లైనక్స్ ఈజ్ ఏ ఫ్లేవర్ ఆఫ్ యూనిక్స్ అండి, అంతే.
ఓకే. అంటే దానికంటూ సపరేట్ గా ఓఎస్ ఏమి ఉండదండి, జస్ట్ మేము విండోస్ లో వర్క్ చేస్తుంటాము. సర్వర్ లోకి లాగిన్ అయినప్పుడు చిన్న స్క్రీన్ వస్తుంది యూనిక్స్ లో, దాంట్లో ప్రెస్ చేసేసి ఫైల్స్ అన్ని డౌన్లోడ్ చేసి.
అది మీరేందంటే చిన్న ఇది ఇట్లాగే వస్తుంది మీకు, అంతే కదా, కమాండ్ ప్రాంప్ట్ లాగా వస్తుంది.
ఇలాగే వస్తుంది. అవును.
ఇప్పుడు మనం చూడండి, నేను చూపిస్తాను మీకు. ఇలా వస్తుంది అనుకుంటా.
ఇది దాస్ ప్రాంప్ట్.
ఆ.
ఓకే. ఇది ఇలా
మీరు మనం
కాకుండా
ఏంటంటే
ఇదే ఇలాగే వస్తది యూనిక్స్. బట్ అది యూనిక్స్ గ్రెప్ చేయగలుగుతాం కమాండ్స్.
మీరు పుట్టి నుంచి లాగిన్ అవుతారా? ఎట్లా లాగిన్ అవుతున్నారు?
ఇది పుట్టి అనేది కాదండి, అది విన్ఎస్ఏపి తెలుసు మీకు? ఐడియా ఉందా?
అంటే మీరు కాపీ చేసుకోవడానికి వాడుతున్నట్టున్నారు కదా?
అవునండి, కాపీ చేసుకోవడం. అంటే ఫైల్ సెర్చింగ్, ఏదైనా కమాండ్, ఒక వర్డ్, ఒక ఫైల్‌లో లాట్ ఆఫ్ ఫైల్స్ ఉంటాయండి మాకు ఒక డైరెక్టరీలో.
అవును.
దాంట్లో
ఇదిగోండి,
ఒక గ్రిప్ చేస్తాం ఒక వర్డ్ పట్టుకొని.
మీరు ఇది
యాహ్!
వాడుతున్నారు. విన్ఎస్సిపి
అవునండి.
వాడుతున్నారు కదా?
అవునండి. అవును. యెస్, కరెక్ట్.
ఇవేంటంటే మనకి లైనక్స్ టు లైనక్స్లో డేటా కాపీ చేయాలంటే మనం ఎస్సిపి అనే కమాండ్ వాడతాం, సెక్యూర్ కాపీ. లైనక్స్ టు లైనక్స్ అయితే. కానీ విండోస్ నుంచి లైనక్స్ కాపీ చేయాలంటే డైరెక్ట్గా మనకి థర్డ్ పార్టీ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ డౌన్లోడ్ చేస్తారు, అది విన్ఎస్సిపి వాడతారు.
ఓకే.
మనకు విండోస్లో ఉన్న డేటా లైనక్స్లోకి, లేదా లైనక్స్లో ఉన్న డేటా విండోస్లో కాపీ చేసుకోవాలంటే మన థర్డ్ పార్టీ టూల్ విన్ఎస్సిపి ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకొని మనం ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో అది సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుని కాపీ అంటే కాపీ అయిపోతుంది అన్నమాట.
ఓకే అండి.
లాగిన్ అయి పని చేయాలంటే మళ్ళీ పుట్టి వాడుతుంది. ఇవన్నీ మనం నేర్చుకుంటాం లైనక్స్లో. అసలు ఇవన్నీ అన్నీ వస్తాయి మనకి, ఏ టు జెడ్ ఇన్డెప్త్కి వెళ్ళిపోతాం మొత్తం.
ఓకే.
ఓకే అండి, రేపు మార్నింగ్ సెషన్ మీరు ఒకసారి మాట్లాడి వాళ్ళతో రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ చేయండి. రేపు ఒకవేళ మళ్ళీ ట్రై చేద్దాం గో టు మీటింగ్, కాకపోతే వెంటనే స్కైప్ కనెక్ట్ అయిపోతుంది.
ఓకే. ఓకే.